Part 2 of my 3-part series, Chad Hansen running for Commissioner Position number 2. Let's get into it.
I'm here with Chad Hansen, so you're a candidate for Position 2
Yep.
Commissioner.
That's right.
So how long have you lived in the area?
I was born and raised here, Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah, super blessed to be born here. Raised through a lot of change here. You know, I was raised in a timber family.
Right.
My grandfather was buying and selling timber sales in the Siskiyou National Forest out of Cave Junction for decades in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And my dad was a logging contractor also here in Josephine County. And so I was around when the spotted owl and the environmental movement and government regulation changed our community.
Yep. So that was, do you know how many
It was
years
like
ago?
89.
Okay.
89, 90, the regulations changed with the marble murrelet and the spotted owl. As I remember, I was a 16-year-old in high school, and I just remember my dad coming home and they couldn't go back to work. Like, what happened? All our jobs got shut down, and we had
all at once.
Yeah, we had a lot of men working for us and supported a lot of families, and so that was a big change. And during that time, we ended up, working out of town a lot because the thing was shut down. So that was a big change in our family.
Mm-hmm.
My dad continued to log and such, but local high school graduate, Hidden Valley High School, married my high school sweetheart, Cece.
Cool.
We're still together. We've been married 34 years this summer. 3 beautiful children, Austin, Morgan, and Rylan, 33, 31 nearly, and 29 nearly, and 7 grandkids. And
wow.
3 wonderful, 2 son-in-laws and a daughter-in-law that are great. And so I just have deep roots here.
And you're a big dude. You lift.
I was fortunate enough to have shoulders wider than my hips. That's what I told me. No, yeah,
I'm working on it. I go to the gym too, but I've always been like the computer nerd.
Oh yeah.
So I'll get there someday.
I'm the one commissioner you could probably call to come help you move your refrigerator.
That's
my one calling card.
Yeah, right on.
No. So, I was born and raised here, and then my wife and I were able to start a contracting business. We started in the logging industry, actually, and then transitioned into transportation, trucking, hauling asphalt, sand and gravel. We had a bunch of trucks doing that for a long time here. And then during that season, started a commercial concrete business.
Cool.
So have a lot of extensive experience in public works, roads, bridges, being on the end of those public works jobs all over Southern Oregon, Jackson County, Curry County, Josephine, obviously, Douglas County. So got a little taste of public works. So I have a lot of experience of that. And then the timber part, it's still deep in my roots. And I think if there was a funnest job I've ever had, it was logging.
Logging, cool.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
But I didn't really enjoy 2-hour crummy rides one way and work all day. And, loggers have a hard time being involved civically. But anyway, with the timber, I really think that it gives me kind of some insight. I'm not an subject matter expert by any means, but being raised in that family and around the industry, and it gives me a little glimpse of some of the constraints we have with the timber that we own, with the O&C funds and all of those things tied up. And we've been battling that for 30 plus years, and everybody says, it seems like campaign after campaign, we're going to free that up, and we're going to well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I know Trump was talking about, it was like 85 million board feet is being opened up, but it's going to take a long time for that to happen. And it's not like an immediate thing. It could be years from now.
And thankfully we do have the current administration is pro natural resources, and obviously within the the timber harvesting forest practices acts, and obviously do it legal and as environmentally sound as possible. But we're tied up, and to sit and say we're going to open those up while I'm in office and fund our schools and our sheriff, and we won't have any property taxes again, that won't happen.
Right.
But maybe we can start some inroads into change, because we do have a favorable administration towards that.
So what made you want to get into this? Like, what were you sitting around one day and going, look, okay, a commissioner thing is coming up. Am I just dove in, or what?
Well, the last 3 or 4 years, been very involved civically through our nonprofit that I am the president of, Home Bridging. And so we work with planning. We work with the commissioners on properties. We bought a property from Josephine County, so I got to see some of how that works with, property recapture, that was foreclosed on, and the county sold it at auction. And so I got to see some of that, and then just working with Public Works on some of our developments with the city and the county. I have a lot of relationships in all of those departments.
Yep.
And then, we've had so much disruption the last few years in county leadership.
Oh, yeah.
Some of it understandable, honestly, and some of it kind of discouraging. I think all of those guys that got recalled would probably look back, or potentially recalled, and say, "Oh man, we could have probably communicated that better."
Right.
It's unfortunate, and then sometimes you can't control who doesn't like you.
Well, that's the thing I talk about with the people that watch my show. It's also it's almost like a sport in Josephine County to go after public servants. Like it's almost like, we're going to recall people,
especially on the conservative side.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But so just watching how things were unfolding, and around the first of the year with the recall and those things, and then position 2 came up as a 2-year position, which is not even in the charter. It was like, how did that happen? And I don't know if anybody actually has the real answer. I haven't heard why this year and this position is a 2-year appointment. But it is. And I thought, I don't want to go for 4 years if I don't like it or they don't like me.
Yeah.
So this 2-year position sounds like a good apprenticeship to go, okay, you can get your feet wet, you can learn, you can get in and help instigate or start, initiating changes, hopefully, and solidifying things. And then if you feel like you're getting traction, you go, hey, I'm going to run again and get another 4 years and see if we can continue to help. And if not, you worked your tail off, you learned a lot, you did everything you could for 2 years, and it wasn't your thing.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's part of my motivation for the 2-year position. And really the only reason, I don't care if it's position 1 or 2, what I would have ran for, but the 2-year was really attractive to me.
Yep.
And, but to run in general, I have a lot of history here. I have a lot of connections, and I'm not, the most proficient currently yet, ORS ... law this. And but I have a good sense of common sense. We've produced a lot of things in this community. It was interesting. We were on a Grants Pass City Chamber of Commerce and the Courier on Wednesday night, 2 days ago, had a forum for candidates. And one of the questions was, what committees have you been on that you think would help you be, successful in leadership for the county or as a commissioner? And I was like, well, I am on a couple. I'm not on any county committees. But I'm involved in every department head or leader in our city and our county. And I thought, well, I'm doing stuff. I'm not just on committees, and because committees are where usually great ideas go to die. And so that, in my opinion, are really slow.
Well, there's only 1 out of the 7 candidates that actually had. I think Mark Jones was the only guy that was actually on committees.
Yeah.
Because I was there, and I remember everybody's like, well,
I was on the budget committee the previous 12 months. Recently was removed from that. And that's their prerogative of the commissioners. That's fine.
It was weird. I don't understand what happened there, and I haven't really got a chance to look into that yet, but it seemed like kind of an injustice to you guys.
Well, I guess I think they would say, and a couple of them have said to me since, that we could have done that differently. The communication.
Right. Because you never got a call. You never got an email.
No, I heard it through a friend on social media. Hey, you just got kicked off the budget committee.
Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're in Grants Pass. Like we're in Los Angeles or Portland. Like I know these people.
Right.
Like especially 2 of the current sitting commissioners. I poured the concrete at Gary Richardson's house. 25 years ago. And I've known Colleen for 30 years, and her sons worked for me for years, and we're friends, Brady and Dan. And so just not to even get a heads up.
That is just
strange. Which is fine. But the budget committee was frustrating in the sense of, the expectations, and there was no training last year. So we walked into it blind, along with 3 freshmen, basically on the budget committee, 3 freshman commissioners. So no one had been on a budget committee. Even we had a new, at that time, brand new budget officer in Ruth Nelson. And then even Cassie, who's the staff for the commissioner, she was also a first year. And so we were all kind of like, okay, we're all new at this. And so that was frustrating because I thought, man, we could have equipped each other better. We could have been equipped better as volunteers.
Right.
Thankfully, some of the people on the budget committee had a lot of corporate experience and could understood how to read it initially. The budget's a little more complex than just your normal P&L or budget. It's a government. It's a government document. So if you don't read government and understand where funding streams come from, and there's additional funding streams in this grant, and so getting up to speed takes a little bit. It did for me.
But
and then to think that, we get to do another one. We had a 3-year commitment, and it was exciting to go into another budget cycle and feel more confident that you could really communicate why you voted what you did, and or ask the right questions. And so then to be removed is kind of like, oh,
darn
okay,
it. Yeah.
we didn't get to finish this.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, and it's a great way to and the reason I even got on a budget committee is like, I want to know what's going on in our community. So I applied. I want to understand how to better understand what goes on behind the scenes financially, and I thought, well, just jump in with 2 feet. And anyway.
Well, it might have been political, I don't know.
I think everything in Josephine County right now is political.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's just kind of like who what side are you on? A lot of that stuff is it's weird.
Yeah, I've been friends with Dwayne Yunker since I was 12 or 13. He was 12. His brother Mike and I have been best friends since we were in 8th grade. And and I like Dwayne.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known him literally, since I was 12, 13. And so I support him. I support what he's about. I support what he's fighting in Salem. I don't think we realize how hard it is up there for the Republicans being in such a minority. And he's been communicating things that I think are important. And he's starting to get some traction now after being there. Well, I say all that because I support him. And I have policy reasons why I support him. It's not just red or blue, or, he wears the pants I like, or, he runs around with this group of people and not that group of people. He has actual policies that I agree with. And so, another candidate had asked me, who I'm fortunately, unfortunately, I know a lot of the candidates in all this because of just my time here.
Yeah, and you're friends with Seth too.
Oh yeah. And so, Seth wanted me to support him, and I said, I can't.
Yeah.
And, face to face, actually at his dinner table. He invited me over for dinner.
Yep.
And my wife and I. And it was nice. We had a great evening, and I like Seth, and he goes, hey, would you endorse me? And I said, oh, no. Not because I don't like you.
Yeah, sure.
But policy-wise, I don't see a reason to replace Dwayne Yunker.
No, Dwayne's up there. We call him the junkyard dog. I mean, his scoring says they have a scoring system, and
he's representing his district and his contingent.
Yeah,
they voted him in.
Yep.
Or he was appointed, but he's running for the first time. But he's got a lot of traction up there, relationship wise, and so I've seen how he operates up there, and I think he's going to grab second and third gear. As you build relationships, and you can start getting momentum, and it takes a long time to do that. I say all that because. And this is not a dig at all on Seth. It's like, no, Seth,
I like Seth.
You've never done it before.
Yep.
You just got on the city council a little over a year ago.
Yep.
And I don't see a reason to replace Dwayne.
Right. Yeah. And I told Seth something similar, but we had coffee and stuff.
Yeah.
And,
we talk. Yeah. I've known, I did his wedding.
Oh, cool.
I officiated his wedding.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I've known him literally since he was like 18, 19 years old, and we worked together in a corporate setting for a season over in Medford. And
Susan's great too. I don't know if you know Susan.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yep.
I mean, she's a Democrat, right? But so I can't support her just because,
Yeah, totally.
And she's an amazing person.
Very
All three candidates are great.
Bright. Susan's bright, articulate.
Yeah.
She can really share her vision and her commitments, and she did a great job in that forum. She was great.
Blew me away, honestly, because like all three candidates, it was like, wow. I was wondering if it was like a prepared thing. Like, did they prepare the questions ahead of time?
No, they're not.
Because I was like, wow, they did so good. And I just like trying to picture myself being up there, and I'd be like, I don't know.
Well, it shows how much work they put in to kind of be prepared for their message.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
And so it didn't matter what the question was; they had thought it through, and I thought they did a great job. And then we had our forum.
Yeah, I was there, and I saw it, and I was telling people, like, you had one of the most real, you and Mark Seligman, because he's a Democrat too. Yeah. He's like, I'm not really planning on winning, but maybe someday somebody is going to be like, oh, Mark, that was a great idea. Yeah. And he was just giving it real.
Mark has called me multiple times.
Oh,
and
really?
I just remember, for some reason, I remember 660-1505. That's Mark Sullivan's number. And he calls me, and what I appreciate about him, he's so genuine.
Yeah.
And this is what he thinks.
And so were you.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, some of the questions were like, some of the questions to me were kind of like, what? That doesn't even make sense. I mean, the Daily Courier and what was it? The
Chamber.
They put those together.
Yeah.
And what was the question that was weird? I can't remember what it was, but it was like,
well, like one question, and I don't know, I didn't have to pose the questions, but I thought it was it wasn't even really a question. Well, in the sense of, so do you support tourism
Yeah.
And do you think tourism could be an economic driver or something?
Or collaboration question.
Yeah,
the collaboration question was like, well, yeah.
Who would say no?
Yeah, I was going to say no.
I know. Or I have to apologize. I kind of was like a smart aleck. When they asked that question, I think I was the first person to be asked that question. And I was like, well, who would say no to that?
Yeah,
well, of course you would. If you would work to the best result with all the players at the table.
Absolutely.
And so if they have great ideas or you have great ideas, hopefully those win out.
Well, that's the commissioner's, one of the commissioner's roles is like they're representing the people.
We're representing 88,000 people.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're the only people not represented at the courthouse. The employees have managers and directors and unions, and who's actually looking after the public, the citizens, the taxpayers. It's the elected officials. They voted us in. They vote us in and choose, and so it's our job to represent our base and the people that put us in the office.
And that's what you want to do.
I do.
Yeah.
It's funny because I've kind of lately become very content with moving through May and November to January, and if not, I'm content.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't need the job per se, like paycheck wise, and I've never had a problem supporting myself, and thankfully healthy, and I've been able to provide for our family. But just the fact of just the negativity out there,
it's a
Jordan.
lot. Yeah, it's bad. That's why I'm the social media director for the Republican Party, and it's like I see that every day.
Yeah, I don't feed into it. I don't get involved.
Yeah.
Lately, so this is what I started doing. I've been doing these little videos.
I saw the videos. They're
great. I started doing these little videos because I wasn't going to do anything.
Yep.
I was like, nah. And then my daughter in Kentucky called me. She goes, Dad, not everybody knows you. You need to put something out there where they get to know you, your heart, the things that you think are important for the community to know about you. And I'd never made a little video. I'd never taken a selfie, none of that stuff. And so, if you ask anybody close to me, I'm not the technology guy.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a text, email. It's about the use of my computer skills. I can do a few spreadsheets, but anyway, it's just not something I spend a lot of time at. I started making these little videos and just putting them out there, 3-4 minutes, and things that just pop into my head that I think are important for people to know about me. So what I did was I downloaded the Facebook app. I make a video, I post it, and then I take the app off my device. So I'm not even tempted to look at social media. I just don't look at it.
Yeah.
And so my friends, unfortunately, they have dark sense of humors. You got to see this one about you. This is funny. And so other candidates or friends of mine will send them to me, and I'm like, oh, thanks. And, or other candidates, like, Colleen has even called me and said, I'm sorry you're going through this. And very sweet.
Right. But
it's just really sad, Jordan. And yesterday it kind of hit me. I'm 53 years old. I got pretty thick skin. The lies and the misdirection that people are trying to cause and division is really sad.
Yep.
But what it really opened my eyes to is there's middle school and high school kids doing that to each other.
Exactly. And that's kind of the mentality.
And I'm like, oh, that's why some of these kids go down deep, dark holes of bullying, cyberbullying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought, and unbelievably tragic. We've had students in our community over the last few years commit suicide.
Right.
And one of the factors was cyberbullying or online bullying. And I get it. Yep. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I could see you're 12, 13 years old and people at your school are lying about you and making things up, and then people jump on that don't know you and they spread it.
Yep.
If you don't have a great support system, and you don't have a place to outlet that pain, and then there's no consequences for these online bullies and the lies.
No, there's not. And
I thought, oh my gosh. So I'm not complaining. It gave me empathy for children going through that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is impossible.
They will throw you under the bus. And anybody that wants to do anything public service, they're going to throw you under the bus. And there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I call them trolls. I don't know what to call them.
Trolls is what I call them.
I call them crazies. The crazies. Why don't you just get your Rolodex or your day planner out?
Sure.
And show me what you're doing for our community to make it better on a daily basis. And I'll put mine up there or any of the other candidates.
Right. And
go, okay, if you're doing these things, you don't have time for this.
They're in their mother's basements trolling. What does your wife think about you running?
It kind of come up over the last few years, just because I'm so civically involved.
Yep.
Behind the scenes, as far as in development and the nonprofit, and we're also Home Bridging works with the county and the city with their CDGB grant program. We administrate that as a sub-grant recipient for the county. And we also do that for the city, part of their team. They're with Bradley Clark, Community Works Director, and Community Development Director, and Aaron Kubik, the city manager there. Yep. We work with them. This will be our 4th year working with them on their program. And then this is our 2nd year as being the sub-grant recipient with the county. And so we've been really involved with seniors predominantly. These programs really kind of target seniors who own their home, and they're in a poverty level, and they have their homes have issues where it's going to be difficult for them to stay in place, age in place. So leaky roof, bad water, plugged sewers, HVAC or heat, right, are the big ones. Some plumbing issues, but there's a lot of folks in our county in city and county that their houses are they can't afford to repair them. They're on a fixed income, and then they need a $15,000 roof. Wow. Tear off and replace some of the rot and put a roof on is, 12 to 20, depending on how bad or big your house is, or how are they going to do that? A lot of people don't have that just sitting around, or their HVAC goes out and they need a mini split, and still like $3,000-4,000 at a minimum, to do that. Or, they have dangerous electrical work in their house and things are popping off, and so we help with the administration, but also the actively just doing that work for the city and the county. Cool. What that did, Jordan, is it got me in the kitchen table of dozens and dozens of mostly seniors or single moms, a lot of seniors, and you just see the financial fear on their person, where they're like, man, if I don't get this grant from the city or the county, I don't know what I'm going to do. Right. And you start to meet people just right where they're at. And we have a lot of seniors in our county that are vulnerable financially. And so I walk with those folks, hundreds of them. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think we did 30 roofs this year between both programs, and we drilled a well, and we did all kinds of septic work, repairing septics, or just, and we cleaned 30, 40 of them. I don't know, a ton. I don't have all those in front of me, but yeah. And so that just gets us right on the ground floor of what's going on in our county, all over our county, from the north to the south, Cave Junction. And then we work with Workforce Housing. Our nonprofit has been just given immense favor, really spiritually, practically, and it's just been so generous. People have bought properties for us that have subdivisions. We were given a subdivision. A foundation came alongside of us. A private group from Jackson County actually came alongside of us and said, "Hey, we'd like to help you guys move your initiative. What could we do to help you?" And we said, "Hey, fund this subdivision for us in Cave Junction that we want to buy," and they did. Wow, cool. Yeah, no strings attached. Just here's the money, and that enables us to build houses and sell houses without that cost.
So you've been civically engaged and community engaged, and so your wife was just pretty much on board with
this. She's a school counselor, so she went back to school at 39, 40 years old. We had taken in from 2008 to 2022. Cece and I took in at-risk youth.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And these are kids that weren't in the system. They were just kids that were couch hopping or friends of our kids or through the school system, mostly Hidden Valley, because that's where our kids went to school. And we've been plugged in there since 1987. Wow. Not now anymore, but up until our kids graduated. And so we started meeting these children, these teenagers, and they would need a place to go. And the football coach a couple of times would just drop a kid off, go, "Hey, this kid needs a place to go for a little bit. Can he stay here?" And Coach Fagoni would come by.
Yeah, cool.
And the kid would stay with us for a couple weeks, 3 weeks, 3 years. We had multiple kids stay with us for years. And wow. Now we're still friends with many of them, obviously, and giving them just a place to land and reset. And hopefully our number one goal, Jordan, day one, how do we help you forgive your parents?
Yeah, that's a big thing.
They're going to be your parents forever. You might be here a couple weeks, a couple years, whatever God says or allows or what. And so, but you're going to have that mom and dad forever. Yeah. So how do we help you navigate forgiveness? Because obviously there's been a hurt. That's why you're here.
I had to go through something similar. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. I mean, my dad, he basically, here's $5 and a bus ticket. I'm 17 years old.
Wow.
And I was out of there.
Wow, yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Totally.
I mean, yeah. So it started my journey in being homeless. I was roughly 8 years, but it was technically more like 13 years.
Of bouncing.
Just drifting. Yeah. Just drifting around.
Wow. You're a miracle.
Yeah, I'm here. So,
But there obviously was some people along the way that gave you a little nudge and some help.
Yeah, and I mean, just my own self-motivation too.
Yeah.
I mean, but a lot of people in the community, Kate Lasky over at the library, she really saved, one of the people that saved me.
That's cool.
But
So our CC and I's relationship with all those children, and then my involvement civically, and then through our church, we've been involved in our church for many churches, a couple churches in this community our whole life, and so you're amongst the people. We were blue collar employers for 17 years, so that's a whole different demographic, and then the last 10 years in the nonprofit world. 5, 6 extensively now with a home bridging nonprofit that's board run, and I'm the president, and just some phenomenal board members that have been with us since day one as volunteers. And so I have a pretty good pulse on the people.
That's awesome.
And I tell young people all the time, the number one thing that you need to protect, and the thing that will take you the furthest in life is your network.
Yeah.
The group of people that support you, that you learn from, that hold you accountable. I mean, you can get all the skills and you can have aptitude to learn, obviously, like education and reading, writing, arithmetic, all that stuff. But if you're alone in it, and then, you have a tough day or you get a flat tire, who's going to help you?
Yeah, and people can call you too. I mean, you've got your number online.
I
didn't see it. I'm the social media guy. I didn't see your number. I don't know where you posted it, but
I just say it 660-6895. Call me. I've had the same phone number since cell phones came out.
Right.
And
so super transparent. So if you got it in the office, it's going to be the same thing. People can come to you and talk to you about it.
I want to, because there's so much talent in this county.
Right.
Amazing. I was on the dais the other night at the thing. At the Chamber Courier Forum.
Yeah.
I just said, hey, look, all the solutions to anything we have going on, needs or issues in our county are all right here.
Yeah, that's your whole contact list.
Yeah, and you have one. You're like, I'm not here to figure out all the issues.
Yeah,
I'm here to make sure they get resolved and for the best of Josephine County. And I have no problem. You can ask any of my friends. Chad calls all the time. Hey, how do I do this? Or who do you know that is that?
Sure, yeah.
I'm a connector. Because I know so many people, and it's not about me. It's funny. Like, they ask you questions. Even today, you need to learn, get up to speed. Absolutely, but I'm not going to be the subject matter expert on all that. No.
Yeah.
Economic development is my mantra right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be, it's a group of 3, the commissioners, and I really hope I'm going to do my part. That the 3 of us are very respectful, and that we to each other.
Sure.
And that we use each other's gifts and talents.
Yeah.
And we operate as one.
Yep.
And man, if that can happen, and then that attitude and that collaboration can bleed down through the staff, and they can see that, hey, those guys and gals or whoever's on the board, they're of one mission.
Right.
And it's Josephine County's success.
Yeah.
Right. And those will also include hard decisions. Like, hey, what if funding gets cut for certain things from our outside sources that we don't control? We're going to make some hard decisions.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think, I don't know if we're ever going to get out of debt in our country, but as we hopefully start controlling the spending, there's going to have to be some changes.
Yeah.
And we have to anticipate that. So doesn't mean they will happen, but are we as a board ready? Have we already discussed, if this, what will we do?
Yeah.
Are we prepared?
And communicating with the public,
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of commissioners in the past, and I'm not going to name any names, but some commissioners in the past, it's like, I don't think people thought that they could reach out to them, or maybe they just didn't try, or they just read social media headlines and made their own choice. And instead, you just call Chad. And
then as commissioners, like, hey, here's the reasons we did this.
Yeah.
And this is the black and white finances of it.
Yep.
You can't argue with the facts.
Right.
There's going to be times that some subjective decisions have to get made, no doubt, some judgment calls. But a lot of times with the county, there's land use laws.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
There's budget constraints. There's how you can actually spend the money and where it's allocated. You can't change that.
No.
So you just make sure you're staying within the lines, and then where we need to cut or, adjust. Of course we need to do that. We need to be as self-sufficient as possible.
Yep.
So a lot of it to me is, we have common sense, we have experience, and we have a network of people, and we have a great team let's use it to grow Josephine County.
And you're ready to talk to anybody.
I am ready to talk to anybody.
Democrats, whoever, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've given my phone number out now for months, and I've never been shy about it in the past anyway. And if you want to Google my name, I'm sure it'll come up.
Yeah.
But they don't call me. I will say this. No, one person has called me, and I appreciate it. Matt Spurlock called me.
Cool. Yeah.
He sent me this quick little thing, and he was just trying to bait me with something. And I just said, hey, man, call me. And he did.
Yeah, give you a call.
It was great.
Yeah.
And I said, Matt, what's going on? Oh, no. I said, he goes, I get all these crazy questions all the time. I said, you mean like the one you just sent me? And he just had a good laugh like that, right?
Sure.
And I appreciate it. I said, Matt, I get it. Bro, that's not privy to, that doesn't have anything to do with us running for commissioners or, the gotcha stuff. Just call me.
Yeah.
But if you just want to play gotcha, why?
He's,
but he wasn't like that. He was super respectful. Yeah. I appreciated it. Yeah.
I know Matt. I'm in a class with Matt, leadership training thing that we're just put on by the chamber.
Yeah, that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing?
It is so far. Yeah, we're on month number 8. It's coming up. We're going to graduate here in a little bit.
Do you think there'll be fruit from that?
I think so, definitely. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, because I want to say there's about 50 of us, and the numbers did dwindle a little bit.
That's expected.
But a lot of interesting people there, and it's a good message, and
it increased your network too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But Matt's in there, and he's a Democrat, and he's got different political views and stuff. But I like him as a person.
Anyone that wants to do what they can to help their community, you have to give him some credit.
Exactly.
He's not, in my experience with Matt, it's just been very limited, and he communicates.
Yep.
He's passionate about what he loves and believes in, and he's been respectful to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the candidates on that forum, there's 7 of you guys.
Yeah.
And everybody did really well. I think
there's a mutual respect up there. I mean, I haven't had a negative interaction with any of those guys.
Yeah. So
it's funny because you're not, there's certain political things I guess you're not supposed to say.
Yeah.
Right. But I was on a forum with Matt Ide. That's how you pronounce it.
I think
and I didn't know him. Yep. I met him through this process, and now we've been on a couple forums together and sat next to him. And the first forum we were at together with a Republican women's group or whatever, there was a point in there I almost said, I'll say it now, but I almost said it then, I guess you just vote for this guy.
He was kind of next level. I mean, he's with the stuff that he's done.
Yeah.
I was kind of amazed at his resume.
Yeah. And absolutely.
But he's not involved in the community.
Well, I think Matt's, I think the deficit Matt comes from is just not being here very long.
Yeah.
Nobody knows him yet,
right.
And he hasn't had any traction with any event, what was
he wasn't in any committees locally either.
No, and just okay, what have you done?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's not a get it done guy. He's just new here.
Yeah.
And resumes and I'm sure his is stellar. And I'm not discounting anybody's resumes, but I could put a pretty good resume together. It doesn't mean I'm good at it.
Right. That's true.
Right? So, and that's not the case. I'm not by any way saying that about Matt, because I think Matt's from what I've known, just this little bit I've known him, I think he's a square guy. I like him.
Yep.
He's very smart. But I do like that some people that have not been involved before are raising their hand saying, hey, I want to get involved.
Yeah.
Well, and so I've been told by seasoned politicians, never mention your people you're running against, and I would never put them down by any means, but hey, some of them have some great things to offer.
Yeah.
And I just really hope that after January, when I'm elected as a county commissioner for position 2, man, that I've built a relationship with those that have subject matter expertise, and I can hey, it sounds like Matt, I'd be great for the budget committee. Or some HR type questions, or
consulting, maybe.
Consulting, absolutely. So I'm not shy about that stuff. And another thing, when you're passionate like I am, and you're involved, I'm super involved in the Illinois Valley.
Right.
My grandfather came there in the late 40s after World War II as a smoke jumping instructor. He was a paratrooper in World War II, and he got off the bus in Cave Junction at the Forest Service at the airport and started teaching people how to jump out of planes. And so my family's deep rooted out there, and we own property out there still. And my family, my kids and I, have some investment property out there. And I'm out there building houses with our nonprofit home bridging. I think we've built 11 or 12 houses now out there, and relocated families from mostly Grants Pass and some from Cave Junction, but mostly Grants Pass out there, and increasing the population, and bringing some life to some of those subdivisions that were vacant. And and then I'm really involved in a church out there, CJ Fellowship. Some friends and I started meeting a few years ago, just in a circle at Wild River on Sunday mornings, and then it just kind of grew, and
Cool.
we were like kind of busting at the seams, and we don't have any money. Nobody's getting paid. It's it's super fun. I've never been a part of something like that, a startup church, and we're like, hey, let's protect this thing from becoming corporate or organized. And it's organized order, obviously, but there's leadership to, keep it on the rails. But then we're like, what are we going to do for room? We're kind of like growing out of this thing, and we didn't have any plan. We didn't have any money. And this family approached us and said, hey, yeah, we're going to buy the old Red Garter Saloon, and why don't you just move your church over there and use it for free?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so we're partnered with Joe's Place, and we share the space out there. So they use it during the week with the kids, and we use it on Wednesday nights and Sundays and multiple times during the week. And we painted the front, and we're remodeling it. And the family that facilitated all that's just been so generous. And here's this little church with no money, and we have everything we need. Building. And so I'm vested out there. I'm out there almost every day in some capacity doing things and working with local merchants out there also as a volunteer, just trying to help them become more successful financially. We have a whole mentoring program through home bridging that's for businesses also, that we walk alongside of them, and with CFOs and with consultants, and try to make sure they can be successful. So I'm very involved in multiple businesses in the Illinois Valley, just as a friend, and with our professional contacts, and we sit with them weekly and work with them. And
a lot of people go through 6,000
a day. Yeah.
Per day.
Yeah. And so some of the two of the largest traded sector companies in Josephine County out there, with Taylor Sausage and Rogue Truck Body. And as many people know, Flower Mountain Gems started out there.
Right.
And they couldn't get a left-hand turn off of 199, so they came into town. So if they had probably gotten that left-hand turn off 199 into their at that time location, they probably would have expanded out there.
Right. Wow.
But as things worked out, they're in Grants Pass and employing all these people, it's fine. And then Krauscraft, which is now Playcraft, started out there, and they're one of the largest employers out in the Merlin Industrial Park. And so Cave Junction has just tons of talent. They have some constraints with the road as far as, there's no rail out there for train. They have some transportation.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of people who live out there. And then the traffic, like you said. So anyway, I made a comment. I was on Mike Jones.
I was going to ask him.
Because I was talking to the city, at the time, the commissioners, about how do we help economic development out there. And I said, man, you got a road that's got 7,000 cars every day.
Right.
And then, big weekends going to the coast, it's probably doubles. Mm-hmm. And why is that town kind of suck in a way?
Yeah.
Because you got Sisters, Oregon, you got Joseph, Oregon, you got other small communities like that. They're not even on a thoroughfare of traffic like that.
Right.
And so it's really it's a conundrum. Like, why does this town struggle? And I said, Cave Junction, it's like a rat hole.
Yeah, I heard that.
And I said that. And I'm like, it's like a term of endearment. Like, I want it to be better.
Right.
And I feel like, I've got some investment out there.
I think they should have watched that whole video.
Yeah, totally. So people get online, they're like, you called this town a rat hole. Okay. It's not.
Right. Yeah, come on.
People. The hotel has been burned down for how long?
Yeah.
Like buildings burn out there and they sit for 2 years, and like, come on, and that's not a reflection of the people.
No.
Nor the leadership of the community. It's like, how do we inject some hope and some commerce out there so that we can do better? That was my whole, context of that.
There's a lot of good people out there. I've got lots of clients, Kim Sportsman, Tower.
Oh, absolutely.
Kim, a lot of the people out there, they're just fantastic, warm.
Well, it's interesting. I think somebody could fact check this, but there's 18,000 people that reside in the Illinois Valley. And the Illinois Valley is basically the top of Hayes Hill to the state line.
Right.
Well, the majority of that population being probably Selma on.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing amount of people.
Yeah.
And they're all just out there in the woods somewhere on their 5-10 acres. And, it's pretty spread
There's some
out.
gruff looking folks, you walk around, the people that walk around town, I say it's somewhere between ZZ Top and Mad Max.
Yeah.
Because they got this look about them.
Well, one of the things I personally, and I think I have enough street cred in Cave Junction to say this, one of the things I like about the Illinois Valley is it's not pretentious. People are who they are.
They are who they are.
And I appreciate that.
And that's why I like you running as candidate, because you're very real.
Yeah.
You know,
And you know what? Each of them is created in God's image and has
Sure.
gifts and talents.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to find it.
There are people in this community. That's what I try and push. Like everybody, doesn't matter what your political beliefs, what your religious beliefs are.
Yeah.
We're people in this community.
I have this really good friend. I shouldn't say really good friend, but a friend. He's becoming a friend. I spend quite a bit of time with him now.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Midwesterner. He's from the Michigan area, and he's 35, and his name's Nathan. And he lives in a bus and drives it around out in Cape Junction. And he's awesome.
Yeah.
I love Nathan. And he's got a different path than I have.
Yeah.
I don't understand somebody who lives in a bus. I'm like, oh, you live in a bus. He chooses to. And he's not a drain on society, and he's really helped me communicate this. He goes, the homeless or maybe the disenfranchised, they're not a people group. They're people.
Yeah, they are.
And you're right. And seeing them in that light. But also, I'm not okay with people staying stuck and choosing to stay stuck.
No, and that was my thing when I was homeless. There was no enabling there like there is now. I mean, they're given everything that they want to stay homeless. And that sucks. And, when I was homeless, it was like lunch at the soup kitchen, dinner at the mission. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like I had to change.
Well, I have a family member, and I won't name his name, but I have a family member who's a leader of a local small city around here in Southern Oregon. And a couple of years ago, I was in that city doing some business, and I walked into their offices and caught him, and I said, "Hey, man, you don't have any homeless in your town?"
Really? Huh, interesting.
Yeah, it's not they might roll through, but there's no like visible like encampment or any. This is exactly what he said. We don't feed them.
That's that's kind of
and I'm like, it's like either move towards progress or keep moving along.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to stay here and then draw and take, it's like our little church in Cape Junction. We're right in the center of town, literally on 109 in the center of town. So there's an element of homelessness around that. And we eat a meal every Sunday as a church. We cater we don't pay people, we don't pay staff, we don't even have to pay rent, praise God. But what money we do take in, we take care of widows and orphans first.
Cool.
But we buy a meal from a local restaurant and have it catered every Sunday.
Oh wow! Nice.
So at 11:30, the chairs get moved and the tables come out and we set up, and there's like 70, 80 of us every Sunday, and we have a meal catered from a local restaurant. So we support local business.
Cool.
And we have a meal together. And so at first, the homeless were like, hey, we'll get some food.
Right.
I was like, no, it's not a soup kitchen.
Yeah, it's not a soup kitchen.
You want to join us? You want to come from the beginning to the end? You can have a meal. But if you just come for the meal, no.
Yeah.
And there was a little pushback, but I was like, hey, this is a gathering that people choose to be here, to be involved in each other's lives. And if you want to be a part, if you want to participate with us,
right.
Now, if you're starving, we'll feed you.
Sure.
Single mom walks up and she's got some hungry look. Come on.
Yeah.
Totally help, right?
Exactly.
But it's just that I'm not helping you if I'm helping you and there's no expectations, there's no skin in the game, right. I'm enabling. Yeah,
the enabling, I think, is just almost right up there with the drugs. I think it's a close second, is enabling drugs. HB 3115 is, unfortunately, we've got to deal with. The state puts down these laws, SB 48, 3115.
Yeah.
We got to do it. So when the people asking you, as a commissioner, what are you going to do about the homeless? It's kind of a loaded question. You've got to kind of do what the state
absolutely
tells us to do.
Yeah, there's that for sure. A lot of what we can do for the homeless is it's one soul, one person at a time.
Right.
If everyone took a little responsibility, I'm not like the subject matter expert on homeless, but I have spent time with them and I have helped quite a bit. But a lot of the naysayers about, or the pro, hey, we got to help them out. How many of them have ever had any of them living in their home?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
See, me being homeless, you'd think I'd be more passionate about helping them, but I'm not. I'm the opposite. I'm like, stop giving them stuff. And I know people are going to be like, gosh, Jordan, that's really harsh.
Well, you lived it.
But I lived it.
So you're a subject matter expert.
I had to hit rock bottom. Otherwise, I would have never gotten out of it.
Sure.
Period. The end.
Well, my friend Dave put it in he has spent years and years working with homeless internationally in multiple large cities in our country. And I never heard it this way. And I appreciate this. He said, no, they're addicted. Most are addicted to autonomy.
Right.
I don't want your rules.
Yeah.
Well, freedom, civilization doesn't work unless we have boundaries and we have expectations and give and take. So
They wanted to be lazy, and that was my thing. I was like, for my 8 years, it was like I just wanted to be lazy.
Yeah.
You
well,
know?
at least you're honest.
And smoke some weed, whatever. I wasn't really into the drug scene. I did a little weed, but dabbled with a couple other things. But yeah, it's just
it's unfortunate.
lazy.
I can't. There's and that just kind of dovetails into the mental health, lack of mental health facilities in our state.
Yep, they're not there. Our streets are the mental health asylums.
Yeah,
right now.
and that's a really poor doctor.
Yeah, it is. It's a hard doctor.
Oh,
too.
it's brutal. It's evil.
Yep, it is.
It's evil.
Yeah.